session has now ended. Please hold up on your practice bowling at this time. You guys did perfect again. Thank you. All right, more announcements. As a reminder, viewers, you are responsible for writing your scores down at the conclusion of each game and turning your recapture with the front counter upon completion today. As a courtesy to other competitors, as you finish your game, are you listening? And you move lanes, please allow the period that you're moving to time to complete their game before you move into their bowler's area. Please. Attention all spectators, do not block the entrance to the bowler's area with bags or chairs, as our volunteers and staff need to be able to move freely and quickly. Now, let's give these athletes a huge round of applause as they begin round one of the tournament competition. All right, those your arrows are up. You may begin your tournament play, and everybody have a great day bowling.
Welcome to the opening round. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening round of the 2019 USBC Junior Gold Championships from Detroit, Michigan. I am 2006 Junior Team USA member Daniel Farish here on Bowl TV, bringing you all the coverage from the historic Thunderbird Lanes here in Allen Park, Michigan, one of the many suburbs of Detroit. 8 bowling centers across this urban landscape hosting this year's Junior Gold Championships. On the lanes right now, one of the U12 Boys squads here at Thunderbird. Again, one of 8 different divisions going on in 8 different bowling centers across the city. Boys and girls division split up into U12, U15, the new U17 division, and the U20. And you are watching game 1 of 4. Each division will bowl four game qualifying rounds in 4 different bowling centers. The U12 boys, this squad starting off here at Thunderbird. Take a look who we have on our featured pairs on 67 through 70. We also have 4 lanes down 27 through 30 are the 4 other featured lanes here at Thunderbird. On lane 67, we have Anthony Bocchino, Hayden Mitchell, Joshua Morgan on lane 68, Daniel Barth, Ethan Lower. Looks like Brody Lint is late or absent. We'll keep you updated on that. Lane 69. Charlie Muckin, Evan Kenton, and Kobe Shunk, and lane 70. Pedro Diaz-Gonzalez and Clayton Washington. Again, 8 bowling centers being utilized across the city. Thunder Bowl, just one of them. Century Bowl, Sterling lanes, and Super Bowl lanes. Those 4, Century, Thunder Bowl, Sterling, and Super Bowl, are being used by the U12 boys, the U12 girls, the U15 girls, the U17 girls, and the U20 boys. AMF Rose Bowl lanes, Astro lanes, Bowl 1 lanes, and Score lanes are being utilized by the U15 boys, the U17 boys, and the U20 girls, and it's all going to culminate right here at Thunder Bowl for our live, our TV finals being taped down in the infamous Thunder Bowl arena. More history in that bowling center than you can shake a stick at. Of course, 3 different bays of lanes here at Thunder Bowl. You've got lanes 1 through 20 down in the arena, lanes 21 through 74 here in the main section, and then over in their Cosmic Bowl area, lanes 75 through 90. So while it's 90 lanes and it's considered one bowling center, once you get here, you realize it's 3 different bowling centers all wrapped into one, each one serving a different purpose. A very unique setup here at Thunder Bowl Bowling Center with a lot of history. A lot of iconic moments have happened, not just here in the main area, but down in the arena as well. If you have a chance, if you're not bowling here and you have a chance, stop by and go over to the arena. It's well worth the drive. This U12 division, both the boys and the girls qualifying competition will consist of 4 4-game blocks. Total pinfall for the 16 qualifying games will decide who will advance with a 1-in-7 ratio in each division, determining the number of advancers in the first cut. We will get a roster number for you so we can try and get an idea of what the cut position is going to be. All players who make that first cut will bowl an additional 5 games, and there will be a second cut with a maximum of 64. Oh, sorry, that was U20, 17, and 15 for this U12 division. There'll be a 1-in-7 ratio in the cut after 16 total games of qualifying. After 4 additional games following that first cut, there will be a second cut to the top 8. Total pinfall will not be dropped until they reach the match play bracket finals, which will be that top 8. The top 8 then go into a 2-game total pinfall double elimination bracket until we hit the TV finals. Each match will consist of 2 games with total pinfall determining the winner. And once we get down to 2 competitors in the winner's bracket and 1 competitor in the elimination bracket, that will give us our 3-bowler stepladder for the TV finals. About to take a look at Anthony Bocchino over on lane 67. Anthony finished 72nd last year at this tournament in the U12 Boys Division. And over on lane 68, just now throwing a strike for a double, Joshua Morgan. He finished 159th last year We have 3 other returning competitors from last year's tournament on our featured pairs down here. On lane 69, Charlie Mucken finished 250th. Pedro Diaz finished 106th. And Clayton Washington was 125th in last year's tournament. Thunderbolt, one of 4 bowling centers offering live streaming at this year's event. Score Lanes, Astro, and Century are the other 3 bowling centers. You can just click the tabs on the bottom and scroll and check out the live streaming from any of those bowling centers. I believe my fellow live stream anchors will be Matt Canizero, Emilio Williams Jr., the voice of the PWBA, and Aaron Smith, who I had a chance to work alongside out in Las Vegas. I was out there working the Open Championships at the South Point Bowling Plaza, and I worked alongside Aaron Smith over at Samstown for the USBC Super Senior Classic and the USBC Senior Masters. It's quite a change to go from commentating on bowlers who've been doing this all their life, you're talking 50, 60 years, to the bowlers who are just getting started in this amazing sport. Who knows, maybe we'll be talking about Ethan Lower over here on lane 68 in 40 years at the USBC Senior Masters. You never know. You never know where bowling is going to take you. Us here, feel free to say hey in the chat. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll see what I can do about answering them. Rough break for Charlie Cade Mucken over on lane 69, back-to-back splits. Throughout qualifying, we won't be doing a lot of commentating. It's very difficult to get a lot of background information when you've got over 4,000, not just kids, but 4,000 bowlers in one tournament. But we will keep you abreast of who is on the pairs in front of us, who you're watching. Past results let you know who some of our previous high finishers in each event, each division are out on the lanes in front of you, and give you as much information as we can. It does help to know a little bit about the bowlers as you're watching them. That way, if you're tuning in to watch either your child or a friend of yours, or a child of a friend of yours, you can not only learn and watch about them, but learn about the bowlers on their pair as well. All these bowlers competing on sport-compliant oil patterns out there, and again, the patterns will not be released until after the tournament. The bowlers all had a chance during practice sessions throughout Saturday and Sunday to see what each bowling center was like and try and whittle down their limited arsenal of 5 bowling balls. It really makes it tough, and it's an added challenge. bowling on these patterns can be difficult enough. But when you're limited on bowling balls, it just makes the fight that much harder. But they had practice sessions all day Saturday and Sunday in each of their respective bowling centers that they are going to see to figure out how to play the lanes. As you can see here at Thunderbolt, these players playing the lanes a little more direct. And it's not just because of a lower rev rate or ball speed for these guys, but their age. I saw it all across the board. A more direct line in this house seemed to be favorable. And the one thing I'm surprised at, looking at just our featured pairs in front of us, is there aren't as many two-handers as I expected. And the two-handed bowling style is something that has, as far as bowling goes, has swept the nation. I'd say over the last 5 to 10 years, ever since the emergence of Jason Belmonte on the PBA Tour. I know the last year that I bowled junior gold was actually right here in Detroit back in 2008. If I remember the press release that I read a couple days ago, we had 1,700 kids. There was no U12, U15, U17. It was just boys and girls. And there were 1,758, I think was the number, sold out. 3 bowling centers. It was in Sunnybrook, Sterling, and Century, if I remember correctly. And with the emergence of these new divisions and the growth of bowling down the age spectrum, getting kids into bowling at a younger age, it has allowed this tournament to really grow and blossom. And gets us a chance to see some of these young players that we don't know if they're going to be phenoms yet. Certainly there are kids out here that have talent. You can pick them out. But you never know. You never know if Clayton Washington on lane 70 in 7 or 8 years is going to be a powerhouse in the college bowling world. You don't know if Kobe Shunk on lane 69 is going to be tearing up the PBA Tour in 10 years. You don't know. And it's fun to watch the growth of this sport at such an early age. A couple lanes away, Eric Ford on lane 64 has strikes in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. I can't see what he had in the 1st and 2nd. And the bowler across from him, Cyrus Uchwal, has strikes in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So we got some strikes going on around us. The bowlers here on our featured pairs struggling a little bit. I do know a couple of the kids walked up to me and were asking if this was going to be on TV, and I said, yeah, it's going to be on Bowl TV. And you got to wonder if maybe the nerves kick in a little bit, not just with this being as big a tournament as it is. I mean, the biggest youth tournament in the nation, the nation's best bowlers here to compete. That's enough to make anyone nervous. I don't care what your age is. But knowing that you're going to be on a featured live stream pair can add a little bit, can get the blood pumping a little more. Whether you know what's going or not, amp up that ball speed a little bit. It can be hard to get the nerves down. I don't care if you're 32 like me or 9, 10, 11 like these guys are. Again, if you're just joining us, we are live here at Thunder Bowl Lanes in Allen Park, Michigan, one of the 4 bowling centers that we are offering live streaming from. 2 sets of cameras here at Thunder Bowl, one right here behind lanes 67 through 70, and another set down on 27 through 30. Just to give you an idea of the scoring pace for this U12 boys division, last year the first cut, it was 40th. Again, it's a 1 in 7 ratio, and I'll see if I can flag down one of our tournament officials and find out just how many we do have in this division this year. But last year was the top 40, or top 41, excuse me, top 41, and the cut was a 165.75 average. So that's kind of the number I would think it would be similar this year. I don't know of any reason why that number would be drastically different. I know that when I was these guys' age, when I was 9, 10, or 11 years old, I was struggling to average 170 on a house shot. I had never seen, sport bowling wasn't a thing yet. Your leader last year in this division, after 16 games, was Ryan Brees out of Wilmington, North Carolina. He averaged 196.88. Minus 50. That is unbelievable. Absolutely paced the field. Had a 168 pin lead after 16 games of qualifying. But again, the cut last year was 165.75, so if you look at the scoreboard and you see scores in the 140s, 150s, 160s, a couple things to realize is that you do have to remember you are looking at the youngest age group that we have here at the Junior Bowl Championships, presented by the brands of Ebonite. So 140, 150, 160 type numbers isn't that bad. When you look at the scoring base, one of the guys who has put himself in a good position heading into the 10th frame, Anthony Bocchino. Again, he was the highest finishing bowler from last year's tournament on our featured pairs right now. Leaves a ring 10 in the 10th. If he could pick that up and get decent count, he'll be in the 180s, which will be a good game as they start to wrap up the 10th frame over on 67 and 68. Looks like 71 and 72 is done. The high game over there is a 181. I can't see from the angle I'm at what the bowler's first name is Aiden. I can't tell the last name, but he had a couple strikes to finish the game with it open in the 10th for a 181. Good pickup by Anthony there in the 10th. Out the 2-8 for a 184. Solid start by Anthony Bocchino out of, I think it was Commack, New York. Aiden Mitchell, left-hander, steps up to 10th on a 3-bagger. Leaves a baby split. If he can convert that and get decent count in the fill ball, he'll be looking to shoot in the 170s. Again, the cut last year after 16 games of qualifying was a 165.75, so a 166 average. I think that's kind of the number you're going to be looking at when you're trying to judge if a good game has been bowled or not. Ball needs to hook a little bit. There you go. The bowlers do change pairs every game, utilizing one of my favorite methods of skipping lanes. As the left lane moves left and the right lane moves right. They will skip 5 pairs each game. I'm not sure if it's skip 5, bowl on the 6th, or if you skip 4 and bowl on the 5th. But I do enjoy the left lane moves left and the right lane moves right. That way you're crossing with different people every game. And at this age group, it might not matter as much, but as you move up into the U17 and the U20, and as you get into the, even adult tournaments, who you're crossing with can really affect how the lanes break down. And the one thing that these kids do have One thing they don't have is the higher rev rates of the older, more experienced players. But what they do have is a lot of surface on these bowling balls. So while their rev rates might not chew up the lanes too bad, those very, very porous, gritty covered bowling balls will break those lanes down. So these guys will see some breakdown out there. Not as much as you might typically see from some of the older divisions, but they will still experience some breakdown. One thing you do have in the opening rounds of any tournament is you've got players that are playing all different areas of the lane. You know, some of these guys, like Clayton over on lane 69, was coming right outside first arrow. And then you've got some guys that are right down third arrow. Start wrapping up. Hayden Mitchell shoots a 168. Joshua Morgan with a pretty clean game, minus the single pin miss in the 7th. Two-hander pretty straight up between second and third arrow. He's going to be in the 2-0s. If he converts this for a 201. Clayton Washington looking to double in the 10th to get into the 180s. So some pretty good games on our featured pairs here this first game. Clayton 5-7. You need the drive to get the 5. And Joshua wraps this 4 around the 7. Only loses 1 pin on the count though. Nice 200 game. Shout out to my guy Cyrus Utchwall over on lanes 63 and 64. Shoots a 175 after opening the back 4 frames. Cyrus, the son of a friend of mine, Jason Utchwall, who runs the very well-known Bradley Open tournament. It was in Lexington, Kentucky for the longest time at Eastland Lanes. Eastland closed a couple years ago. It's since moved to Louisville. And Jason manages a bowling center in Louisville. I've known Jason for a long time, so it's fun to see the kids of friends of mine out here competing. Of course, youth bowlers from the state of Kentucky, from Louisville, where I'm from. It's fun to watch them out here. No, Tanner, with as difficult as it is to set up and move stuff, we are set behind the same 4 pair of lanes throughout qualifying. And this set is behind 67 through 70, and our second live stream area is down on 27 through 30. So while we don't feature different lanes each game with the way they jump pairs, we do feature different bowlers each game. So there's your trade-off. But you're looking at 3 tripods, 3 cameras, a mixer board, a bunch of cables, computer, monitor, everything that goes along with it. All right, game 1 of the opening round of qualifying for the 2019 Junior Gold Championships presented by the Brands of Ebonite has concluded. We will get you the rosters for game 2 here on our featured pairs in just a moment. Stay tuned.
sign your name there. Right above this line.
Well, the scores are correct.
Yeah.
Well,
Because if you end up forgetting, it's going to cost you. Okay?
Taking time is no rush, okay?
Okay? We'll fill in the balls.
oh, it says used. Not happy what the start was. That's for sure.
'As action gets started here for Game 2 of qualifying for the U12 Boys here at Thunderbolt, we'll take a look at who is on our featured pairs in front of us here on lanes 67 through 70. Over on lane 67, Ryan Clinton, Brendan Haley, and Chanson Hirokani. On lane 68, Bonin Pulsifer and Joey Buck, in relation to Joe Buck. Lane 69, Christian Williams, Joshua Collins, and Caleb Orton. And on lane 70, Ryan Popham, Braden Rondo, and Jaden Alberto. Five of the bowlers on our featured pairs this game did compete in last year's tournament. Jaden Alberto finished 234th. Joshua Collins was 214th. Christian Williams, 137th. And the two finishers on lanes 67 and 68, they were right next to each other in the standings after 16 games of qualifying last year. About 20 spots out of the cut. The top 41 made the cut after 16 games last year. And in 64th and 65th, respectively, were Ryan Clinton and Bonham Pulsifer. The one thing that we won't be able to offer throughout qualifying as the games go on, because of the scale of this tournament and just how many scores there are and how many volunteers and excellent volunteers and staff we have at each bowling center, especially here at Thunderbolt, is updated scores as we go on. You don't see any plus minus on the screen traveling with the bowlers. And with as many as we have out there, and of course you've got to consider the fact that this isn't the only U12 boys squad in action right now. There's more going on at other centers, so we don't have any running totals for you. The best we can do is bring you what we have in front of us, but we do have lane monitors scattered throughout the bowling center, so if someone does something crazy, big numbers out there, you wouldn't expect to see a 300 out of this group, but you never know. There's a lot of talent out there. So if something like that were to happen, we do have lane monitors to keep us abreast of what's going on. So we make sure that you all don't miss out on anything. If you're just joining us, this is game 2 of the opening round of qualifying of the 2019 Junior Gold Championships presented by the brands of Ebonite International. I am Daniel Farish, member of the 2006 Junior Team USA, and I found quite a lot of success here at Junior Gold. Again, back in my day, that is absolute ancient history, not going to bore you with it. But when they asked me to come work this tournament following the Open Championships out in Las Vegas, there was no way that I was going to turn it down. Some of the best memories I have in bowling, and it wasn't just because of the success I found over my 4-year career out here at Junior Gold, but it was because of the camaraderie with my fellow players. I mean, a lot of the guys that I bowled with and crossed with and bowled junior team with, I'm still friends with to this day. And it's names you know, guys that have been on TV: Josh Blanchard, Matt O'Grady, standouts like PJ Haggerty, Chris Bolison, Ivan Miyasoto. A lot of those guys, I'll see them 2-3 times a year, and we catch up, and those were friendships that were bonded in the fires of the Junior Gold competition way back from 2005 through 2008. Again, to give you some perspective, I'm still waiting on a total field size number, but the last time I bowled Junior Gold was here in Detroit in 2008, and there was just over 1,700 players, and I believe I heard that this year we had registered 4,700. I haven't gotten a total number, a final count on how many have actually checked in and shown up. That was a classic bowling reaction from Christian Williams right there. Off his hand, he knew the ball had no chance. He was turned around, but the ball was halfway down the lane. And he throws it pretty hard, so he turned around pretty quick. I think we've all been there. Ball comes off your hand, and you just know, uh-oh. That ball is nowhere near where I intended for it to be, and it has no chance of hitting the pocket, much less the head pin. Again, these bowlers bowling on oil patterns that will be released following the tournament. They all had practice sessions throughout Saturday and Sunday to figure out what bowling balls they had that matched up on each pattern. And all we can do is talk about what we see in front of us. And a lot of these players out here attacking the lanes very north to south. And I think even in the older age groups, you're going to see that out here at Thunderbolt. One thing you may see at the bottom of your screen, depending on where the players may be standing in the pit area, is an American flag waving back and forth, and we've got flags positioned on each table so that if they need assistance, re-rack, pins, off spot, score correction, ball return, anything, they wave that flag, and there's lane monitors that are positioned about every 10 lanes that are not only, as I said earlier, watching for high scores and looking for possible highlights, but they're also looking for those flags so they can help the bowlers and don't have to worry about any kind of intercom system, and they can try and keep there from being any delays out there for whatever the bowlers need. Thunderbolt, just one of 8 bowling centers being utilized across the sprawling urban landscape of Detroit, Michigan. Century Bowl, Sterling lanes, Super Bowl lanes, AMF Rolls Bowl lanes, Astro lanes, Bowl 1 lanes, and Score lanes are the other 7 centers. Again, spread out everywhere from the northwest Detroit area to the southeast Detroit area and everywhere in between. Other events going on here as well. The Adult Youth Tournament at Mary Bowl Lanes and the Survivor presented by Hammer over at Super Bowl following the completion of qualifying for anyone who did not make the first cut in their respective divisions. Other squads in action right now, just the boys. This is the only U12 Boys squad going on right now. The U20 Boys, 3 different squads at Super Bowl, Century, and Sterling. And then all of the U15 Boys, if I'm doing my math correctly, are bowling right now. Their 4 squads are at Astro, Bowl 1, AMF Rolls Bowl Lanes, and Score. So all the U15 Boys are bowling right now, and that was... Oh, take that back. There's 2 squads left for the U15 Boys to bowl tonight at Astro and Bowl 1. And that was, again, one of the things that was frustrating as a player. And this isn't anything that really any tournament can do. It's all up to, you know, when the squad finishes the night. But it was waiting up late after your day of qualifying to see where you were in the standings. I know that if I ever had the dreaded night squad followed by the morning squad, then I wouldn't worry about waiting up for the standings that night. Typically, they would actually be available once I got back to the hotel following bowling because we were the last ones done. But if they weren't, you didn't wait up too late because you had to get up early in the morning. But back then, the first qualifying squad didn't start until, I think it was 8:30 or 9 o'clock. But we had less than half the kids bowling that we have now. So these guys here at 7 a.m., I commend them. It's very few things in life am I going to get up so I can be somewhere. Not just be here at 7 a.m., but be here at 6 a.m. or 6:15 to get here early. And bowling is one of them. Bowling is definitely one of them. I don't know if I would have wanted to do it at 11 or 10 or 9 years old. But again, back to what I was saying is that with 4 of the 6 U15 Boys squads bowling right now, again, they're all over at Astro, Bowl 1, Rolls Bowl, and Score, is that those guys will kind of have an idea after this morning, really, of where the numbers are each bowling center has its own sport compliant oil pattern. I don't know what they are. Scoring pace on one pattern may be higher and scoring pace on another pattern may be lower. But with all of them represented following this morning, all 4 houses that the U15 boys will be bowling in represented this morning, it'll kind of give an idea to look at that cut number and start trying to figure out, okay, if I'm minus or plus X or Y, I've got some work to do to get to that cut number, or if you're inside the cut number, you're looking at a lead number. Looks like some issues down on 67 and 68 have pushed them back just a little bit. Christian with a crossover carry. Doesn't matter how, just matters how many. We don't grade them, we just score them. That's about all the witty sayings that I have for this early in the morning. Still waiting for the coffee to kick in. But we will be here all day. Squads at 7 a.m., 11:30 a.m., 4 p.m., and 8:30 p.m. At 11:30 here at Thunderbolt, we will have the U17 girls. At 4 p.m., we will have the U20 boys. And at 8:30 p.m., we will have the U12 boys. So if I'm reading my schedule correctly, if I remember correctly, the 4 divisions we're going to see here at Thunderbolt throughout qualifying are the U12 boys, as you see in front of you, the U20 boys, and then the 2 middle girls divisions, the U15 and the newly formed U17 division. So we will get an absolute wide range of all players and ages coming through these doors over the next 4 days. Get each division, each squad bowling 4-game qualifying blocks, 4-game qualifying blocks. The cut's a 1-in-7 ratio in each division. The U15, U17, and U20, after 16 games, will bowl 5 more and cut to a top 64, a maximum of the top 64. Bowl 5 more and then cut to the top 16 for double elimination. A double elimination match play bracket. The U12 division here in front of us again, and the U12 girls will bowl their 16 games, cut to a 1-in-7, bowl 5 more, and then cut to a top 8 for the double elimination match play bracket. And that was my favorite part of Junior Gold. As the tournament has grown, the format has had to be tweaked a little bit, and the initial tweak away from what I remember it as, I think it came back around 2012 or 2013, but when I bowled, it was you had 3 6-game qualifying blocks on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 3 different patterns, 3 different houses. They would cut to the top 1-in-7. The ratio cut was the same. You came back Thursday morning, and typically Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon, you would bowl on 2 variations of whatever pattern was in the host center. Yeah, it wasn't the same pattern. It was two variations. Typically, it was a medium pattern, and Thursday morning you might get a medium long, and then Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening you got a medium short. But they would cut to the top 1 and 7 after 18 games of qualifying. Come back on Thursday, bowl 6 more in the morning, 6 more in the afternoon. Cut to the top 16. Those top 16 came back on Friday for 16 games of round-robin match play. You bowl each opponent once. There's 15 games, and then a position round at the end for the 16th game. And it was unbelievably grueling. And Friday had its own pattern in and of itself, different from anything you saw the rest of the week. And that was one of the best parts of this tournament. But as it was explained to me a couple years after the format changed from the round-robin match play on Friday to the bracket, is that one of the things that Junior Gold is all about is qualifying for Junior Team USA. And a lot of international tournaments, this is how it was explained to me back then, a lot of international tournaments utilized the match play bracket format and not so much round-robin match play. So that was one of the reasons, along with the massive growth of this tournament, that they kind of got away from that round-robin match play. But still, it's while it's different, it's not any easier. You go into a bracket and you do have, yes, that's double elimination. But when you made Friday back in the day, ancient history ago, you had 16 games to move up and down the standings. Pins never dropped. They carried over all the way. You had bonus pins for wins and match play. But now, you got to be on top of the ball every day. You can't take a day off. You don't have a chance to make up those pins. And it really puts the pressure on these young players. Looking around, don't see too many high numbers. We do see one. I take that back. Elijah McLean over on 71 and 72. He's up on the right, very far right side of your screen. You'll see him come into the frame in just a second. He's looking to throw a shot in the fill ball. A strike would give him 203. And that's after missing single pins in the 7th and the 9th. Something I learned at a very young age is I didn't exactly have what you would call a very powerful strike ball. So I learned at a very young age that spares are important. And that's something these kids will learn as they go on throughout their careers. As he does throw that strike you saw on the right side of your frame to shoot 203. Solid game by Elijah there. Lefty. Joshua Collins with a 170 here on lanes 69 and 70. Threw 2 strikes in the 8th and 9th to get into that 170 range. Caleb Orton with a strike in the 10th. He's guaranteed to be in the 170s. If he can catch a double, it'd put him in the 180s. We mentioned earlier in game 1 that the cut last year after 16 games in this U12 boys division was basically a 166 average. So anything in that 160 to 180 range, you're sitting pretty going into your next game. The leader last year in this division was a 196 average after 16 games. I don't know too many adults back home who could average 196 on 4 different sport patterns over 16 games in 4 days in 4 different bowling centers. That's had a conversation with former Junior Team USA and Team USA member Tim Pfeiffer at the Open Championships this year as his team in ABR was making a run at the regular team lead at the OC and the Team All Events number. A very well-known team out there at the OC. But he and I were talking about youth bowling these days, and these kids have not just access, but there's technology and there's information available now that we didn't have. And these kids at such a young age are so much advanced, so far beyond what we ever could have been. I mean, when I was this age, I don't know if Junior Team USA head coach Rod Ross had come up with bowler's map yet. I believe that was an invention of his. I don't know if that was around yet. And these kids now, they've got bowler's map. They've got places like the ITRC. They've got bowler ID where you can fit a chip into a bowling ball and throw it, and it gives you rev rate and speed and axis tilt and axis rotation and access to all this technology to make them better at such a young age. And it's amazing to see how they put it all together. And it's really a pleasure to see them out here and to see how it all culminates into these amazing young bowlers. As we talked about, Caleb Orton did double the 10th to get into the 180s. Elijah McLean down on lanes 71 and 72. Again, shot 203. Lanes 67 and 68 had some issues getting the game started. That's why they're a few frames behind, but more than a few good games going on right there as they start to wrap up game 2, and the bowlers for game 3 start matriculating down here. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and wrap up game 2 for lanes 67 and 68 in just a moment. You're watching the 2019 Junior Gold Championships presented by the brands of Ebonite International here on Bowl TV at Thunderbolt Lanes in Allen Park, Michigan. Lane 67 and 68 starting to wrap up the second game. Pretty much everyone around us has the black and red up on their screens, indicating they are in game 3 of 4, so halfway through their first qualifying block at this year's Junior Gold Championships, presented by the brands of Ebonite International. Bonham Pulsifer over on lane 67 catches a double in the 10th after an open in the 9th. It's going to put him in the 190s. Solid game 2. Not sure what he did game 1. But with the scoring pace of this U12 division, a 190 game as he throws the fill ball, crosses over Brooklyn, wiggles the 10, doesn't knock it down. 196, solid game there. Ryan Clinton in his fill ball tried something different there, and that didn't quite work. 155. Had a decent game going, but back-to-back splits in the 8th and 9th kind of put a damper on that. One of the things I've noticed watching a lot of these young players is they're not quite old enough to have attitudes yet. You know, they don't know they have that gene in them. So when they split or they have a bad break, these guys, they don't stomp their feet, they don't, complain, they don't get down, they just go, okay, well, that happened. And they just move on to the next shot. Roll that 7-pin out, Joey Buck. Atta boy. Wish I could do that. Maybe he can teach me. But they don't react to the bad shots and the bad breaks. They just go, okay, well, that happened. Let's move on, and we'll go on to the next shot. Bowlers over on lanes 69 and 70 starting their third game of qualifying. Michael Lorello, Noah Gibson, Nathaniel Kiefer on lane 69, lane 70, Jordan Mack and Dylan Petrick. I actually just spoke with Dylan for about a brief minute before he walked down to the pit area, and he said he's much happier through 2 games this year than he was after qualifying last year. Dylan finished 267th last year, and I said, well, what's the difference? And he said, well, last year I was shooting a lot of 120s. And this year I've had a couple 170s, and as we talked about, the cut number last year was a 166 average. So if he's in the 170s after 2 games, he's right where he needs to be. As Michael Lorello picks up the 4-pin. As Chanson, our final bowler over on lanes 67 and 68, wraps up his 10th frame. And Dylan, as soon as I talk about you, you miss a 7-pin. That's the broadcaster's curse, man. And again, if you were watching, you saw it right there. He missed the 7-pin and just came off and kind of, pounded his fist in his hand and was like, okay, darn it. There wasn't a stomp of the foot. There wasn't a big emotional outburst. It was just, okay, that's an open. There are a lot of adults that could learn a lot from these kids. Justin Goodspeed over on lanes 65 and 66. He was just in the left side of your frame, converting a 2-pin combination that was on the pin deck. Wasn't Goodspeed the last name of Nicolas Cage's character in The Rock? I think it was. Stanley Goodspeed. I think that's what it was. Whoa. All right. Joel Ramirez has the crowd clapping back here as he catches a strike after an open in the first frame. All right, 67 and 68 have finished up. Ryan Clinton, 155. Brendan Haley, 160. Chanson Hirokani, 123. Bonin Pulsifer, 196. And Joey Buck, 134. Might not have been the score he wanted, but Joey Buck, for that monster scout in the 10th frame, again, I'll get him to teach me how to do that. Names are up on 67 and 68. We're going to have Braden Hayes, Levi Redmond, and Josh Morales on 67. 68, Tremaine Seals, Joe Drew III, and that's it. Chase Landrup's name was up there, but he is absent. So just Tremaine and Joe over on lane 68. The only bowler, looks like on lanes 67 and 68 that competed last year was Tremaine Seals. I had a rough go of it, finished towards the bottom of the standings, but that's the never give up, never surrender attitude that some of these kids have. It doesn't matter if you had a rough year the year before, you go back the next year and try and improve, no matter if you finish second or you finished 282nd. Looks like some news coming out of, I'm not sure which center it was. I just got a text that Tyler Ingalls of Loganville, Georgia, who you may have seen on the USBC Facebook page. He was going for the first 300 of the 2019 Youth Open Championships just a couple days ago. Left a 4-pin in the final ball for a 299. Has shot 300 in the first round of the 2019 Junior Gold Championships. Again, I'm not sure what house, but they're working on getting a social post up and getting the highlight video up there, so stay tuned for that. But congratulations to Tyler. Tyler was also a member of the USA Bowling U15 team champions from Georgia back in 2016. So Ingalls is no stranger to being a human highlight reel in his youth career. But 300 in the opening round of qualifying here at the 2019 Junior Gold Championships presented by the brands of Ebonite International. So congratulations to Tyler, competing in the U20 division. That is awesome. Solid game by Michael Tate going on just to the right of us over on lane 71. He was on a 3-bagger going into the 7th, split the 7th, but he has 142. So a really good game going for him here in game 3 of qualifying as bowlers start to move into the back half of their third game here on our featured pairs in front of us. Solid Brooklyn carry from Tremaine Seals. Again, he's the only bowler on 67 and 68 that competed in this tournament last year. Mentioned had a rough go of it, but the things appear to be better this year. And that's similar to what I talked about with Dylan Patrick over on 70. He said he shot a bunch of 120s last year. He finished up the tournament averaging 117. And he said the first 2 games today he's in the 170s. And that's one of the neat things about these young players is the exponential growth that they can see. It's so much easier to get from and this isn't so much maybe a sport shot average, but just talking about regular house shot averages, it's so much easier to get from a 150 to a 180 than it is to get from a 210 to a 240. And when I say easier, it takes the same amount of practice time and concentration, but the little things you can improve on at this young age or at a lower average, it's just little things you need to improve on to make that exponential jump. And we're kind of seeing it out of Tremaine and Dylan this year as two bowlers that struggled this year, as Tremaine's looking to catch a double, just misses the head pin, as they were not happy with how they bowled last year, and they came back this year and have certainly improved. Joe Drew up on lane 68. He is clean through 6 frames, so a really good game going for him. And the very, very, very far right of your screen, Michael Tate. Jersey says Larson Tate. Two-hander up on 72. 142 in the 7th. And he catches another strike after the open in the 7th frame. Joe Drew the third continues his clean game as he strikes in the 7th. We talked earlier about that with these players' lower rev rates, even with all the surface they have on these bowling balls to try and get the ball to hook, with their lower rev rates, you weren't going to see the pattern blow up, the track area go away as drastically or as quickly as we might see later with the U20 boys or the U20 girls. But you're starting to see a little hook spot develop, and for lower rev players, and I can speak to this because I am a lower rev player. We want to see that hook spot. We need to see the ball hook. So scores on this pattern, as we've seen, the best way to play it is from a straighter angle. It's hard to get the ball to hook. As they start to see that hook spot, they're going to be able to take advantage of it. Again, far right of your screen, just threw a strike on 72. Blaine Canfield with a 3-bagger in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. A real nice game going on over there. Oh! I thought Braden had a chance at that 4-7-10. Tate looking to double. He's a flat 10. He's still in good shape, looking to be in the 180 to 190 range as he'll trying to wrap up this 10 pin and step up into 10th. Joe Drew over on 67, trying to keep that clean game going. Two-hander attacking from the right side. Heavy on the head pin, leaves the baby split. Nathaniel Lloyd just to our left, up on 66 right now, has a double in the 9th and 10th with a 154 in the 8th, so he's looking at a max score of 214. He's already in the 2-0s, depending on count. Playing the lanes off of the 2-3 board and gets that ball to face up and strike. Nathaniel Lloyd's going to be in the 2 teens. As scores start to ramp up, Joe loses the clean game. Puts the ball in the gutter on that 310 attempt. I didn't see if it jumped out. I think it jumped out, I'm not sure. Looks like it did, as Braden waves the flag. Tyler Billett over on lane 72 rolls a 2-pin forward in teal pants and a matching black and teal jersey. That's one thing these kids have at this age that I did. We talked a lot about what these kids have at this age that I didn't, and they have a sense of style. There's no way I could match my my outfit like that. I don't know that I cared to. Didn't make me cool, just made me lazy. As Blaine working on a three-bagger, comes in light, leaves a two-pin just to the right of us over on lane 71. He's looking to be in the 180, 190 range. Michael Tate, jersey says Larson Tate, as he steps up on the far right, 72. Strike here would help put him in the 2-0 range. He's another flat 10. Tremaine stuffs one back in the 9th frame on lane 68. As Tate spares that 10-pin, he will be again in the. He can strike the fill ball for a 201. Better shot by Drew right there. Much better shot. Levi Redmond with a good strike. Nathaniel Lloyd, we talked about him. He doubled the 10th. He did get a 9 count in the fill for a 213 just to our left. So a solid game by Nathaniel right there. As they wrap up game 3, just one game to go for these guys. And their first day of qualifying will be complete. Coming up at 11:30, we will welcome the U20 Boys here at Thunder Bowl. Uh-oh, hang on, hang on. Michael Tate, 8 count in the fill ball for a 199. Solid game over on lanes 71 to 72. Levi almost said Goodman. Redmond steps up for his 10th frame. He struck the 9th, caught a double in the 6th and 7th with a spare in the 8th. He can get into the 190s if he can catch a double here in the 10th. Hook a little ball. Oh. Probably better that it didn't. Had that ball hooked, it would have come in a little bit behind the head pin. He could have been looking at a 2-4-8-10 or even a, if it had hooked a little later than that, a little washout. So possibly a good break there that it didn't hook. Couple pairs down outside of our viewing range. Malachi Sykes with a 205. I see another two-team game down there. Can't read the name. So scores are definitely going up. These guys are starting to see a little bit of hook out there. And the minute that a lower ref player sees some hook, their confidence goes up. Oh, Joe. Ooh, look at that thing peel off. That thing peeled off the spot. Left a flat 10, but it was a better result now than it would have been about an hour and a half ago. Blaine Canfield converts the 6-10 spare in the 11th to shoot 202. A solid finish there. 4 strikes in the last 6 frames. Joe cleans up that 10-pin. So the only open in the game was that 2-7 split, or that, excuse me, the 3-10 split in the 8th. Doubled off of that. The flat 10 with 193 by Joe Drew the third. Over here on 67 and 68. And Josh Morales steps up. He will finish out his 10th frame. And that'll be about it for that pair. It looks like 69 and 70 working a couple frames behind as they are just now stepping up in their respective 9th frames. Good shot by Michael Lorello right there after 3 opens in a row. Stuffs 10 back in the 9th frame. Noah Gibson steps up. Dylan Petrick. That's a pretty good shot. A really good shot. Needs to hook a little bit. 10-pin slightly off spot on that 6-10 lead for Nathaniel Kiefer. It's not going to make that any easier. Like Noah Gibson on 69 and 70 was our headliner that game, shooting a 177 high on the pair. Jordan Mack 159, Nathaniel Kiefer unfortunately back-to-back opens on makeable spares in the 9th and 10th to shoot 160. Michael Lorello 137, Jordan Mack 159. Take a look at 67 and 68 as they begin their 4th and final game of qualifying here on day 1 at the 2019 Junior Gold Championships presented by the brands of Ebonite International. Benjamin Slachter, Tristan Perham, and Nathan Hatfield on 67. On 68, Garrett Johnson and Emmett Larson. According to my results from last year, none of those 5 bowled this tournament last year, so they're all making their junior gold debuts. And it looks like we're waiting on a sweep on lane 69, so Dylan Petrick's going to have to wait an extra minute before he can wrap up his 10th frame. Tristan found a way to curve that ball right around the 3-pin and probably got as close as he could get to it without hitting it. Maybe an extra coat of polish on that ball might have helped, because that's about the difference between where the pin was and where the ball went. Solid split conversion by Dylan there. I looked up late. I think it was the 310. I looked up just as the ball was going by. Dylan looking to be in the 150s again. Talked to him before this game, and he said last year he shot a bunch of 120s. And he was very happy with his first 2 games here as he throws the fill ball, catches a strike. And that'll be in the 157. Whoa! Tristan's ball just made an L shape on lane 68. He hooked it more in one shot than I hook it in a 3-game set. Woo! And that's the way bowling goes. You miss a 3-pin the previous frame by, I mean millimeters. And then you leave a split like that and you hit the 3-pin dead in the face. That's bowling for you. Creeper.
Expect anything less?
right, it's game 4, final game of qualifying for the U12 boys here at Thunder Bowl 2019 Junior Gold Championships presented by the Brands of Ebonite International. Take a look at our bowlers on our second featured pair, 69-70. Alex Davis up in the first frame, converts the, almost spoke too soon as he converts that 2-pin just barely. Ronald Bramer, the second, will follow Brian Gravel. The third and final bowler on 69, lane 70, Dylan Estes, Matthew Dietrich, and Kai Mucken over on lane 70. The second Mucken that we've had on our featured pair. And Tristan Perham, the hits just keep coming this game as he leaves another 3-4-7 combination, this time without the 10-pin. That ball stays out there, it's got a chance. It didn't stay out there. We are going to have a pretty substantial break in between squads. The next squad not scheduled to start until 11:30. And I think that's a good decision, not just because you have a bunch of lane beds that need to get rerun. You know, even if you have 2 or 3 machines in a house, it's going to take a little bit, but there are more than one family in this city that have multiple bowlers bowling in different divisions in different bowling centers at different times. So if you have a U12 boy bowling here at Thunderball right now, and you've got to get across the town to Century Bowl for a U20 boy at 11:30, it gives you plenty of time, whether there's to fight traffic, maybe grab a snack, grab some food, and get over to the other center in more than enough time to check in and get prepared for practice. But another one of the considerations as you open up the tournament and you add age groups, you add the possibility that families are going to have more than one kid that are bowling, and they're not in the same division. Now, I don't know the record for the shortest bowler to ever bowl Junior Gold, but I think Emmett Larson on 67 and 68, as he just converts the 10-pin, I think he's going to be in the running for the shortest bowler to ever bowl Junior Gold. But that's what's great about the adding of divisions here at this tournament, is letting these players, these kids, experience a tournament on a national scale at a younger age. And it's just more experience for them to gain as they continue to stay in this sport. As Gary Long III drills a strike there in the 4th frame, doubled to start the game. Gary Long over there, 3 strikes out of 4 frames with a split in the third to start this game over on 71 and 72 here in our featured pairs. Rough going of it on 67 and 68. We have seen some good numbers though. We've seen a 2-team game, couple 2-0s, games in the 180s, 190s. I can guarantee you one thing as I'm sitting here, and I guarantee you that these bowlers are comfortable, because as I sit here, I am chilly. And that's one thing that I learned at a young competitive age as I started to really, didn't so much experience it in a lot of youth tournaments, not that I remember anyway. I'm so far removed from my youth bowling career, but tournaments like the Derby tournament. It's in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the format of a city or state. You bowl team singles and doubles. And I would bowl with some squads that came down from Chicago or St. Louis, friends of mine from college, and they would fill the 52-lane house at Executive Bowl with 5-man teams. And you put that many people in a bowling center, it's going to get toasty. And I learned pretty quickly that if you're a spectator and you're comfortable and you're not bowling, that means the bowlers are probably miserable. But if you're a spectator and you're cold, then the bowlers are comfortable, and that's the situation we have here. A lot of people watching, we're in Detroit. It's not 115 degrees like it was when I was in Las Vegas just a week ago, but it's in the 90s, and we've got people in here that have on jeans and jackets and hoodies because they know, they've been around bowling long enough. If you're a parent or a competitor or a former competitor or family member of a competitor, any of the above, you know that if you're going to go watch bowling, it's going to be cold, and it's chilly here in Thunder Bowl, and that's what it should be. Optimum temperature for these bowlers. Brian Gravel strikes in the third frame. Over on lane 69. What we'll do as this game starts, or as this squad starts to wrap up, we'll sign off, and once we get back, as quickly as they get the results in, again, my first year working the tournament, I don't know, I'm guessing we'll have score updates maybe after each squad, but with multiple squads going across the city, I'm not quite sure how that works. The logistics of it are beyond my purview of knowledge. I'm just the guy that talks. But we'll do our best. We will do our best to keep you abreast of all the excitement going on throughout the city. Good morning, Deanna. If that's the Deanna Carroll I think it is, I know that name from Louisville. Deanna took over running what has become a very, very popular traveling tournament series throughout the Kentuckiana area known as the Kings Royal. Great opportunity for adult bowlers to bowl sport pattern tournaments with a point system, and then there's a finals, based on top 12, top 16 in points, and it's a great opportunity for amateur bowlers that might not be ready to go compete against the pros, to compete against some of the best bowlers in their area of the country on some of these harder patterns. And like I mentioned, our 16-game leader in this division last year averaged 196 on 4 different sport-compliant patterns in 4 different houses. There's a lot of adult bowlers that can't do that. Just makes it even more impressive what these kids are able to do at such a young age. hook a little bit. Ball didn't hook. Benjamin Slachter, the ever popular 15789. That's the one thing about sport bowling is you will see spares on the deck that you don't see in typical league bowling. Just the way the ball moves on the pin deck, the way it transitions through the oil and reacts to the shape of these sport patterns. You'll leave stuff that you won't typically see on a Monday night house shot league. Uh-oh. I told you earlier that it appeared no one on 67 and 68 had bowled this tournament last year. Let's take a look at '69 and 70. Looks like Alex Davis over on lanes 69. If this is the same Alex Davis, I know that's a common name. Unfortunately, their score sheets don't have hometowns on them, so I can't go down and check. But I'm showing that Alex Davis finished qualifying in 5th last year. And after the 5-game advancers round, the additional 4 games in the final advancers round, his 20-game total left him 35 pins out of the top 8 cut. So if that is one and the same, then you're looking at a player right now who was just outside the match play cut from last year and hoping to improve on that. Like Brian Grayville bowled last year towards the bottom of the standings, averaged about a 130. Today it does appear to be going a little bit better than that. Dylan Estes did bowl last year. Again, was situated towards the bottom of the standings, but his scores today that I've seen in 5 frames are pacing better than what he finished last year. And Matthew Diederich, again, a player that was towards the bottom of the standings last year, but is showing improvement. You know, we talked about that. It's, you know, the improvement is at this age is so drastic from year to year. It's really fun to watch. Now, I'll look forward to coming back next year and seeing how this group of players, whether they are, you know, still young enough to be in U12 or they move up to U15 based on age, you know, how they improve year to year. And who knows, maybe in 6 years, I'll be talking about one of these guys making a run. Oh, bowling ball bounced. Making a run in the double elimination match play bracket in the U20 division and saying, yeah, I remember watching him the first time I live streamed for Junior Gold on Bowl TV. And Tristan, after the rough start, strung 3 strikes together, and then another bad break split in the 10th. That 6-pin was wiggling, but just did not go down. That 3-bagger, he really saved this game after starting with I believe it was 3 opens in the first 4 frames, 2 of which are splits. Bowlers on 67 and 68 start to wrap up their final game of qualifying. Benjamin Slachter 113, Tristan Perham a 165. That game could have been a lot worse. Those 3 strikes he threw in the 7th, 8th, and 9th were huge. Garrett Johnson, 101. Nathan Hatfield's looking to be in the 120s, 130s, and Emmett Larson, contender for the shortest competitor in junior gold history. Depending on the conversion of the spare or not, it's going to be in the 120, 130 range. Alex Davis back-to-back 10-pin misses over on 69-70. Missed the one in the 5th frame to the left and missed the 6th frame to the right. So I'd be willing to bet next time he leaves one, he'll probably hit it dead on. Woo! Good shot by Nathan Hatfield to wrap up qualifying over on 67 and 68 for this U12, almost at U20, U12 Boys Division here at Thunderbolt Lanes. I may have misspoke earlier. I said we had the U20 boys coming up at 11:30. I was on Tuesday's schedule. Monday, squad number 9 at 11:30 is the U17 girls. Still about half a game to go over on 69 and 70. 71-72 wrapping up their 9th frames right now, and 65 and 66 are in their 10th frames. And Keegan Alexander has a 193 in the 9th after chopping a makeable spare. So he'll step up in the 10th with the likelihood of being in the 2-0 range, the possibility of the 2 teens, and if he can catch a double, he'll be in the 220 range. And that would be if he can catch a double, the 220 number would be the highest number I've seen in this area of the house so far. The biggest number I saw was a 213, I believe. That was last game. Oh, ball's gonna hook. Whoa, stop hooking. Woo. Alex Davis found some hook out on the one board. Keegan Alexander, I just talked about him. He's leaves on your left side of the screen on 66, leaves a 2-pin. And it's a shame you can't see this kid throw the ball, because it is, I mean, his backswing is steep, but he gets it off his hand very cleanly. I'll say his finish position, I mean, he posts every shot that I watched. And his finish position reminds me of a name that's somewhat familiar with the Junior Gold Championships, Cameron Doyle. Anyone recognize that name? Cameron's from just down in Tennessee. And I remember when he came up, he used to come up to Louisville. Oh gosh, he was 12 or 13 years old. And he would bowl, we had a monthly scratch tournament called the Main Event that ran during the summer. About once a month. I think we ran once a month for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months throughout the summer months. And Cameron would come up and bowl those. Anyway, and this was before anyone knew who he was. And it was incredibly impressive to see this young man bowl. One of my favorite stories from when Cameron came up was he made the cut in one of the main events, and it was a 4-game qualifying cut to a 16-person single-game bracket. And he got matched up against a guy named Vinny Atria. I think Vinny was Team USA back in the 70s. Very, very well-known player across the nation back in the 60s and 70s. But Vinny was in his mid-70s at this point. and Cameron was 13. And it was just funny to look at different ends of the spectrum as one bowler just beginning his amazing career and one bowler towards the end of it. And I forget who won the match. The match was overshadowed by the personalities on the lanes. Like the biggest scores we see around us is Keegan Alexander 213 over on 71 and 72. I think it was Gary Long the second, 181. Wesley Tribble 187. Hang on. Dillon's so close to converting that 6-7. This group right here of U12 Boys is squad 1. They won't see the lanes again. Looks like until tomorrow night. They will be over at Super Bowl lanes. They will continue on Wednesday at 4 p.m. over at Century Bowl and wrap up their qualifying Thursday at 11:30 a.m. at Sterling. So they've got a pretty big break in between their qualifying. That was one thing that I always strived for when I would bowl Junior Gold is I always wanted to bowl I wanted to bowl the morning squad on Monday, the night squad on Tuesday, and the afternoon squad on Wednesday. That was just personal preference. I didn't want to bowl Wednesday night because I didn't want to have to go late night to early morning on Thursday, knowing how important Thursday would be. But I also didn't want to have to bowl early Wednesday morning and then sit around all day and wait to bowl Thursday. Matthew Diederich narrowly converts that 5-pin. Alex Davis looking for more hook off 1-2, and he gets it. A little bit too much hook. 3-9-10. lucky for us, we are, it looks like the last pair going in the house right now. As 55 and 56 are in their 10th frame. These guys are just wrapping up their 9th frame. Haven't seen too many scores on our featured pairs today. We've seen more around our featured pairs over on 65, 66, and 71 and 72. We're going to stick with you as Jason in the chat. We're just about ready to sign off. Still got one frame left. We will stay live until they finish. As Alex Davis will lead us off into the 10th frame as he steps up over on lane 70. Again, no confirmation if he is the Alex Davis that narrowly missed the top 8 cut in the U12 division last year. But looking at the way he throws the ball, I'd be willing to guess he is. And he's been all over the twig and hasn't been able to make it work this game. Don't know what his numbers have been throughout the day, but he has had a rough go of it here on lanes 69 and 70. We've seen a couple players outside of first arrow with a lot of surface early on, so he may have just, this may have just been his bad pair. It was hooking more than he expected, and if you're in an area of the lane that's been working all day and all of a sudden it goes away, it's tough to make that change. And so convert to 3-6-10. He'll be in the 120s this game. Had a couple missed 10 pins in the 5th and 6th frames. So a game he's not going to want to finish on, but he will likely quickly forget. So move on, probably grab some lunch and prepare to bowl at 8:30 tomorrow night. Again, these guys hit the lanes tomorrow at 8:30. Wednesday at 4:30, or 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and then 11:30 on Thursday, and they will wrap up their qualifying then. Quality shot by Dylan Estes there in the 10th, doubles up with a strike in the 9th, trying to get into the 170 range. With that shot, he puts him in the solidly in the 160s. Again, the first cut for the U12 boys last year was a 166 average. So anything in the 155 to 175 range, I think they can feel pretty comfortable with. I don't have any reason to believe that number would fluctuate too much this year. Trying to catch a double. He wanted to hook, then he was asking for it to hook more. Oh, man. Oh, the half 10. The 6-pin fell into the channel and hit the 10, moved it over, but did not knock it down. So if Dylan can convert this, I guess it's a 9 3/4 pin, he'll shoot a 168 on lane 69. He does convert. He gives a little point too. Lets that 10 pin know he's not happy with what just happened. Ronald Bramer II misses on his spare attempt. He'll shoot a 142. Matthew Diederich steps up. Looking for the cross and carry. Leaves the 9 pin. Brian Gravel with the cross and carry, strikes in the 10th. He can double the 10th to get in the 160 range. Matthew converts the 9 pin. He can strike the fill ball for a 158. Again, a number that's kind of in that range of where the 1-in-7 ratio cut was from last year. Cross and carry again. Oh, didn't get the 5-9 out. Didn't work the first time for Matthew. He gives it a try the second time and carries that Brooklyn. 158. It looks like Kai Muckin is going to wrap it up for us. He will throw the final frame for the opening squad of qualifying here at the 2019 Junior Gold Championships presented by the Brands of Ebonite International. EBI from my home state of Kentucky down in Hoptown, Hopkinsville. If you get a chance, you're in the area, stop by. They do tours of the factory of the plant where they make the bowling balls, and no matter what age you are, it's pretty neat to see.
Not touch that foul line. Serious. Back up.
Ladies and gentlemen, that might be what we call grandstanding. Kai knows he's on live stream and just having a little fun out there. Is that ball going to stay on its course? Going to hook a little bit. Just makes it. Gives the fist pump. Trying to strike here for the 117. Had a frustrating game, trying to have some fun. Oh no. And that is going to wrap it up for us here at Thunderbolt. The U12 Boys' first squad of qualifying is completed. Thank you for joining us. Come back at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time as the U17 girls will hit the lanes for their first squad of qualifying. 4 4-game blocks for all these players. And this squad 1 for the U12 Boys has completed their first 4 games. If we have some scores, we will bring them to you. Remember, check out our official Facebook page. Tyler Ingalls shot 300 in the U20 Boys Division. Now, again, I'm not sure what house, but he shot 300 this first squad this morning, so check that out. I think that's already up on the official Facebook page. And we will be back here on Bowl TV for the 11:30 squad U17 girls here at the 2019 USBC Junior Gold Championships presented by the Brands of Ebonite International. Bowl TV, bowling lives here. Thank you. We will see you in about 2 hours.